Hi there. Good Tuesday night, March 28th, 2023. I'm Mike Shope with Adam Krautwurst. Happy birthday, Adam.
Oh, gosh, I forgot it was my, you're getting old when you forget it's your birthday.
Stop. We'll talk about that later, maybe, if there's time, if time permits.
Yeah.
We are the Deep End Fantasy Football Podcast. We are honored to be brought on by the Player Profiler Network, highly acclaimed.
Ooh.
And we're excited to work with these guys starting tonight, so we might look a little different. Hopefully we sound the same. We're going to talk about Lamar Jackson because everybody is. How do you make this situation work for you, right? Isn't what drafting in the early months is all about, is finding advantages and edges if they exist. Shouldn't one exist here? We'll talk about it and see what we think. Also, some tricky running back rooms where veterans have moved around. And if there's time, we can make time. A little bit of Dynasty rookie draft talk with what's happening at the end of round one, where there's a lot of sameness, it seems, right now before the NFL draft, which is just under a month away. We're Mike and Adam. Thanks for watching and listening. Look out for these sharks. If you don't know this is coming, but you're going to be fine. This is the Deep End. I want to guess your age.
Good luck.
36.
Thank you. But no. The big 3-9. The big 3-9 today, Mike.
The big 3-9.
The big 3-9. I feel like I'm 60. I'm not going to lie, but
anybody that says they're 39 is always saying they're 39. No,
that's right. Is that how that works again? Is that how that works again? But no, yeah, for 39 today, it's what a day. Went to work, planned for a podcast. Just another Tuesday at the Krautwurst house. So
what a day. Went to work. Let me think after that.
That's right.
I don't remember.
Just another day at the Krautwurst house.
Well, I'm excited to talk about all these important subjects for fantasy players who are in the deep end. We are a show that I'd like Adam to actually describe this because he is more equipped or more he deserves to be the one to describe it because it was his idea. What kind of podcast, in your opinion, was either not out there in a fantasy football landscape where there are so many podcasts, or, maybe what needed a community that needed to be more well represented, Adam?
Yeah, I just wanted to get together and represent a community that plays this game at a high level, right? So you got all types of podcasts all over the place, and we've been doing this for years. We're kind of introing this to the player profiler community. It's been great working with Billy Musio over the years, meeting him. He's been awesome. Matt has been awesome. Theo, excellent. Cody, all those guys are just incredible. And so thanks for having us again. But this is all about players. It's all about people who have been successful at the highest level. We want to talk to people that some of you player profiler people watching may have never heard of, right? We're going to talk to high stakes players who have been super successful. We want people that have skin in the game. The way I've looked at it is there are people who don't really play at a high level, but are super good at projections, and that's fine. And Mike and I kind of have sifted through those people over the years, and we're going to have those guys on the show too. We're really lucky to have a guy like Billy, who's an exceptional at projections. He just won another top 5 award for projections. He's also an incredible high stakes player as well. So he's kind of a perfect little mix for that. But there are some people who do projections and they don't actually play with the big boys. They don't play for high stakes money. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but you really want to trust the people that have the skin in the game. So we're going to talk to the guys with the skin in the game. We're going to talk to the people in the industry that are really good at projections. We're going to talk to the people that are really good at processing the correct analytics. And so, Mike, you and I have been doing this high stakes thing for a while, me a little bit longer than you. And we've kind of been able to parse through the noise and parse through what's good and what we can use. And that's what we're going to bring to everybody.
Before I met you, I thought $200 was pretty high stakes. But you know what? The main point, the real point is it doesn't matter what you're playing for. You still want good information and you want good advice. And you want, maybe if you're really into it, friends and people that you're watching and listening to that are playing all year. And, you want to win. That's really what it is. So no matter how much it is worth, how much you're playing for, you want to win no matter what. I'm in free leagues that I want to win. And so I'm looking for a combination of what I think is the best advice, which also has a sense of humor and is sort of fun to watch and listen to. And speaking of fun and funny things, the size of that trophy that Billy got, that's for top 5. Like, holy cow, that's a big trophy. I don't have a fantasy. These mini helmets are ridiculously small compared to that trophy. So good for Bill. He's definitely earned his status, and I'm excited to work with these guys very much.
Yes,
and
for sure.
Yeah, so right now, March 28th, late March, we're a month to go for the NFL draft. What are we focused on? We're focused on rookies and, Dynasty, but also there's plenty of high stakes happening. FFPC, the Fantasy Pros Championship, $350 a pop. That's high stakes enough for most of us. And, those drafts are happening now, and they're playing for the same big money that the guys who were drafting in Las Vegas in September are playing for. So we want to be right. And one pivot point, maybe the number one pivot point right now in fantasy football and in football, period, is Lamar Jackson. So, Adam, before we get into the numbers and the data, what's your feeling about where he's at and where this is going? I mean, it can't be called unprecedented. There are contract disputes. Today on my WGR show, we were talking about Le'Veon Bell and how a couple of years ago, like, what if he comes back in week 10? Does he get credit for the year or this kind of thing? I mean, he was a 101 kind of player. So it's not less valuable to talk about him in fantasy, and that's not ancient history. Just how do you feel about where Jackson is at, and maybe just in general, if you feel like there's an edge anywhere?
Yeah, I mean, usually with super talented players, if you just take them, if you buy the dip, right, you're going to get an edge, right? So I'm certainly okay with buying the dip because I don't think it really matters. It might not even be terrible if he leaves, right? So like it might be better if he leaves. So I have no problem buying the dip on him right now. I think he's still the problem is, there's a joke going around, right? Like, oh, Lamar doesn't need an agent, right? Because he's gonna negotiate his own deal, or he does need an agent or whatever. Lamar doesn't need an agent. Lamar needs to stay healthy. I'm not saying that's why Baltimore is kind of holding out here, but he hasn't finished the last 3 seasons, right? So he's been knocked out of a playoff game. I get it, but he's just kind of undersized for a guy that runs as much as he does. That's going to last very, very long. So right now he's going QB7. I could see once ever kind of the dust settles, maybe Baltimore goes crazy in the draft here and gets some receivers, or maybe he leaves and goes to someplace better. But yeah, right. I know, but I could see him settling in above Justin Fields at QB3, something like that. So, I mean, it's interesting right now. Josh Allen's QB3. Normally he's QB1, but maybe we'll talk about him on a different show. But yeah, I'm fine with buying the dip on Lamar. I know it's frustrating, but right now, if I'm in dynasty leagues, I'm kind of putting a little, I'm putting some feelers out there to see what I can get for him, especially in Superflex.
It's tough though, isn't it, Adam? Like, to get value for Jackson right now. I mean, your hands are tied a little bit. I mean, no one knows what's going to happen. Here's my best guess. The ultimate question is the Baltimore relationship salvageable? And it's impossible to say, but to me, it feels more like no than yes. So if that's right, and there are teams, I mean, they do want to win, right? These owners are meeting this week, and a lot of them are pretty old. You can have coaches who are pretty old. There have been 2 teams for me the whole time, and these are teams that are certainly being talked about lately, but Indianapolis and New England are both teams. New England has battled with the league. Belichick, Aaron Rodgers is now walking into his division. Come on. What do you want to do here? Are you trying to go 9-8 and blame other people? Like, what? Come on, New England. Not my favorite team, not anybody's favorite team out of New England, but make a move. And Indianapolis is the other one. And what needs to happen is those teams, or another team that already maybe was reported as not being interested in him, they change their mind because they feel like the market is softer than they thought. And they don't need to pay all the guaranteed Deshaun Watson money to sign him. There are other guaranteed contracts too. Russell Wilson has one. Jared Goff has one. You know, it doesn't have to be the absolute max to maybe get a deal done with him already. And now it's like this. And what are his options? So I feel like in the next few days, the door is open for another team to come up with a deal that maybe they can make work for themselves financially and have Baltimore turned down because they know how bad the situation is. And Indianapolis is picking 4 overall. Like, that's a very appealing option for Baltimore. So you said, like, it might be better if he plays somewhere else. As long as he plays at all, if he's quarterback at Player Profiler, he's in the quarterback 6 range, 5-6 on the latest rankings from FFPC ADP. You know, you can live with that as long as you know he's going to be on the field. But right now, until that happens, we don't know if he's going to be on the field. And that's the choice you have to make. You can avoid him and pick Trevor Lawrence. You know, okay. And take your chances with Trevor Lawrence. Or you can try to look at the board the way I am. And I think, you know, I'm willing to take him ahead of Lawrence. I like Lawrence, but quarterback 6-7, I'm fine.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think a lot of it has to do with teams want, you know, when you talked a little bit about the money, he's going to want a lot of money. And has he earned it? Absolutely. But there's something about, like, yeah, you earned it, but we aren't paying you for your MVP season 3 years ago. We're paying you to play for us now and going forward. And for whatever team he's going to play for, it's like, that's a lot. We're talking like hundreds of millions of dollars. And it's like, to me, again, it comes down to, like, if you can't stay healthy, and I get a lot of guys get hurt, but we've just seen it so many times with quarterbacks taking too many hits. And just, I mean, look at Cam Newton. Now, Cam Newton played a little bit differently, a lot differently, but you get these quarterbacks that just rely so much on their athleticism. They take too many hits. And that's the whole thing in Buffalo now with Josh Allen is, hey, Damian Harris, are we bringing in guys to help him? Because we don't want, you know, McDermott doesn't want Josh Allen taking all these hits, you know? And so I think it's a thing where teams are trying to get away from putting their $100 million investment on a guy who could get hurt.
Let's see him on Indianapolis, Adam. Think of the potential. New coach from Philadelphia who just had Hurts, Steichen. You've got Pittman, who everybody likes. You've got Pierce, who's promising. You've got Jonathan Taylor, by the way, just to take the pressure off. I don't know. Like, they're going to pick 4th. Well, they're not if they have Jackson on their team. But, I mean, that's probably playable. They've got 50 tight ends every year.
Right.
Most of whom seem like athletes. They lost Campbell, but there's more to do in the 2nd, 3rd round of the draft. I can get into that. Like, on the FFPC ADP from Profiler, he's going ahead of Herbert and Burrow, which that's even more ambitious. What I think the takeaway there is that fantasy players who play seriously are not afraid of it. And we're getting into April, and it's getting more ramped up, the rhetoric. And I asked for a trade and everything that's happened this week. But I think that says something important and valuable about the people that, you know, are consuming Profiler and our show, and the people who are in the draft streets right now. Like, they're not afraid of playing without Lamar Jackson. Maybe you're backing them up a little differently as you draft your whole rosters. But I think maybe a lot of people would look at the ADP and be like, Lamar Jackson ahead of Herbert and Burrow and not Fields, but Lawrence. Like, wow, don't you guys read the paper?
Right.
But the market is showing confidence in him still, which is very interesting.
Agreed.
Well, what about you on the clock, Jackson or Lawrence?
Right now, I want to say Lamar, especially. Listen, if we're drafting now, we're drafting high volume, right? No one's like, all right, my only draft of the year is going to be March 28th. We're drafting high volume. We're going to draft all spring, all summer.
Can you imagine?
Right, exactly.
I'm drafting tonight, and that's it.
Right, that's it. Just tonight on my birthday. That's it. One draft a year. My birthday.
$35 best ball. Sit and go.
It's my birthday draft. But so listen, you're gonna have your shares of Lamar, you're gonna have your shares of Trevor Lawrence, you're gonna be doing all that stuff, and that's how it should be now. Anyways, the draft, there's so much that's gonna change after the draft. The Ravens are Bateman, I still think is good. Another guy that's got to stay healthy. Like if they could just get this offense to stay healthy and add one more piece, I know it's crazy to think about. Andrews is great. Bateman, I think, is great. Stay healthy. Add another receiver. Keep Lamar. The team could be awesome.
And you don't mean Nelson Aguilar, I'm pretty sure, but
no,
we've been waiting for years. You and I and many have been waiting for years for Baltimore to sort of step it up in that department. They've drafted guys, but they've only signed from retired players pretty much, and that has not gone great. All right, Mike Shope, Adam Krautwurst, we are the Deep End. We want to take a timeout now and have a word from our sponsors.
You know, people always ask me, hey, what is the World Series of fantasy or the Super Bowl of fantasy football? And it's easy. It's the FFPC, the Fantasy Football Players Championship. It's a $6 million prize pool. And they've had their Never Too Early Best Ball leagues cranking since February. And so the FFPC is the answer to so many questions. Hey, where's the best place to get a Dynasty Orphan? Well, you can adopt a Dynasty Orphan at the FFPC. That's why we partner with them. If you want to play fantasy football for low, medium, high stakes, seasonal, best ball, dynasty, go to the FFPC. And don't forget, promo code Underworld to get you $25 off your first team. $25 off your first team, no matter what team it is, no matter what format it is, at the FFPC. Go do it.
Who doesn't love the FFPC? Come on. I mean,
I don't
high
know anybody
stakes
that doesn't.
galore.
It's a great weekend. Adam and I have been in Vegas the last couple of years, and not only have the drafts been really fun, but the party, opening night, watching the game, the bare knuckle challenge. I've done the bare knuckle challenge draft each of the last 2 years, and I am not embarrassed to say I have 2 sixth place finishes out of 12. I mean, it's not a double up though, so I don't have any money or trophies like Billy gets for finishing in the rankings. Not yet, anyway. All right, let's take one more minute on the quarterbacks, because one of our calling cards on the Deep End is we're drafting all the time.
Yes.
And so I want to show you a $125 Never Too Early Best Ball Tournament board. This tournament's almost full, by the way. So as Adam knows, this is typical. I'm team 1. And it was round 4, so 4-12, where I ended up picking Jackson. Can you see that well enough? I mean,
yeah.
You are 39.
Yeah. Wow.
At 39, you can see it okay? That's good.
Yeah, that's right. I got my new glasses on too, so you know.
Oh, beautiful. So round 3, Adam, you see 3 quarterbacks in a row. Allen, Hurts, Mahomes. And then on the way back, Fields at 4-4, Burrow at 4-6, Herbert at 4-8. You're drafting on the end. You're like, I can't. The pressure's on in these drafts with quarterback and tight end. You don't want to get left out. Sometimes you push them up. How about what do you think of my selection? Jackson at 4-12. Lawrence goes as the next quarterback at 5-7, and then no quarterbacks again until Watson at 7-2. How did I do?
Interesting. Yeah, the Burrow guy took Lawrence. You know, this is a tournament, Mike, you said?
Yeah, 125.
Yeah, I feel like whoever took Andrews maybe should have leaned Jackson. It's over Fields. You know, I know, again, it's ADP. Sometimes we get stuck to ADP even in like March, right? It's like this is a tournament. You want the team, you want to be stacking guys, right? Especially like your top receiver. I mean, Andrews is a tight end, but it's his top pass catcher. So you want, if you have the opportunity, you know, you want to stack that. So I thought that was interesting that he passed, and maybe he'll looking here. Did he stack? Yeah, Mooney. Okay, Mooney.
Claypool.
Fine. Yep. Later. So that's fine. But I was just a little surprised that usually you get the Andrews Lamar stack. But anyways,
all I was able to do, is likely in 14, because what do you want from Baltimore after Andrews and Bateman? So I went rookies. I did a underdog draft last night where I guess it was Justin Herbert, and I didn't get to Keenan Allen or Williams, and you just give yourself a chance. So Josh Palmer, but also Johnston and Addison, you know, in this draft too, same 2 guys. I think it was Flowers last night. It doesn't matter. Give yourself the rookies and a chance for those pairings. If Jackson get moved, and I was thinking about this, if he goes to Indianapolis, there's Michael Pittman. So you can't really build teams that way, but it gives you some potential in case you get lucky and your guy goes to the right team.
I don't know. I think it's kind of fun to build those teams that way, kind of trying to get in kind of lucky and stuff like that. And so, but yeah, were you, do you like to, when you're going to stack and do these tournament stuff, do you prefer to stack? I know it kind of just happens, but do you prefer to stack like receiver first? Like, hey, I'm going to do my receivers, tight ends, and then see if my quarterback falls. Or do you like to go, hey, let me grab my quarterback and see if I can grab the receivers after?
I mean, will you still talk to me if I say it depends? What I really love about these fast ones is there's so many different chess games that can play out, and you really could have all kinds of different combinations. Last night I did one where I was picking sixth, and I had no luck. I mentioned Justin Herbert. It was that draft. They had no luck finding any sort of pairings. I'm 6-7 rounds in and no stacks at all. But I had drafted Jerry Jeudy, and then I reached half a round for Wilson, and then it got stupid after that. Patrick, Dulcich, Albert O, who, by the way, shouldn't his jersey after today's news be Albert O 0? Come on, what an opportunity there. I have not lost faith in that guy. So how do you stack? You can do it so many different ways, but I think you got to do something. I don't feel like you can win in any of these tournaments without having combinations. You agree? Like, you got to have something.
Listen, you're either going to win it all or you're going to lose it all. I mean, it's just obviously for the new guys listening, we're from Western New York. And so the Bills week 17 last year with the DeMar Hamlin situation, like that was the game you needed, right? Bills, Bengals, everyone's stacking it for 9 months. And then it ends up being the exact opposite and losing everybody the money. But I think other than like a catastrophic situation, I think, yes, you want to stack. And I think next week you're coming out with your NFL schedule preview, right, Mike? Where you predict every single team's schedule for the week 17.
I cannot wait. I love the schedule. I love the schedule more than the draft.
Right.
All right. So I mentioned Denver. One more thing, wanted to sort of take some time on tonight. Running back situations or running back rooms where you might have had a trade or a signing, and it's a little bit not obvious, if not impossible to know what to do. And Adam, the Broncos are one of those teams. The obvious big question with Denver first is, will Javonte Williams be ready? And since last year, where there were prominent examples of players off of knee injuries who did not get back in time or were successful, I'm very sort of quiet on Javonte Williams or even Breece Hall. Last year, the talk on Breece Hall is he'll be available week 1. Williams, it's more pessimistic. And Samaje Perine with Sean Payton there, and some of Perine's quotes make you wonder if he's not prepping for a big role. So what do you want to do with Williams, first of all?
Yeah, you were kind of the first person that I had heard that kind of put me on to, hey, maybe these guys won't play so soon with these ACL injuries. I kind of just bought into it's 2022, 2021, these ACL injuries, guys come back after a year. That's just how it works. And while
modern medicine,
right? We forget that, people are still human beings. They still heal differently. And so this, we had situations last year with J.K. Dobbins. It was just, I was so on Dobbins early. And then Dobbins, I'm going to be there week 1. We're talking about coach speak. What about player speak? This guy's, I'm playing week 1, right? And then it's just like he looks worse and worse. Then there's those videos of him limping around during drills, and he's retweeting them and laughing at them. And lo and behold, he wasn't ready to go. And so kind of fast forward to, and even at the end of the season when he was running for long touchdowns, like 50-yard touchdown, he still looked like he was short striding. Like it just didn't look right. And so kind of fast forward to Javonte Williams, like they're saying this thing isn't looking good. It's going to be a while. Like I kind of believe that now. Maybe take a pause. Breece Hall, word is that everything's going fine so far, but that's another one. Like normally I'd be all over Breece Hall, right? Like, I'm taking him at ADP like every time because I loved him. I had him everywhere last year, but it just gives you a little bit of pause. Like, let's just wait and see. If he falls in some of these drafts, fine. But I don't find myself reaching for guys like Breece Hall now.
One thing to remember is that in these tournament games, it's really the last 3 weeks of the season that matter the most. So
Yes.
I think it depends on how well equipped your team is to afford a Javonte Williams or a Breece Hall or a Kyler Murray, guys who Kamara, nobody wants them because we all, least of all Hall, but the other guys, like nobody wants them because we all think they're going to miss a month or more. But who cares by December when it's for the big money? You just have to make it. So if you have 3 running backs, maybe, and you don't love wide receiver and there's 2 or 3 guys in the next quadrant or so that you like, you can take Javonte Williams, in that range, and maybe he pays off for you in the playoffs. So Denver's an interesting team. P. Ryan did well in Cincinnati and sort of re-established himself as a viable asset, and I think Denver sees him that way. Let's talk about Houston. So Dameon Pierce, I've told you on our deep end shows, like I'm on Dameon Pierce. There was always going to be somebody. Is Devin Singletary, who I like, and I think I like him more than you do. We watched every one of his games. Is he somebody that cuts into Pierce? I still say no. I still think that Pierce, young, good, got to be an improving offense, whatever that is to say. I still feel like I don't want to avoid Pierce, at least at his value. I might even want to, grab him if I can.
Yeah, I mean, this is so tough. It's just, I didn't think that Pierce was going to make it through the offseason without some competition. So you kind of got to start there. Like, it would have been incredible if Pierce got through the draft and free agency and they didn't draft someone like the 3rd round or higher or something like that. Right now he's sitting at RB20. He's around, he's just behind DeAndre Swift, who has way more competition now. I mean, DeAndre Swift might be the 2 there. Now he's around Pacheco, and he's going to have to mix in Javonte Williams we're talking about. Mm-hmm. I feel like I have to just put my money where my mouth is, in situations like this. Like, I don't think Singletary is very good. So I kind of want to put my money there and go, okay, well then let's lock in on Pierce then. We'll know a little bit more once we get out of the NFL draft here. Because if they can get out of there without adding any major pieces and it's just Singletary and Pierce, I like Pierce to be the head of the backfield there. But again, do they view Singletary as a pass catcher? Is he going to get all the pass catching down stuff? Do they view him as the goal line back? Like, we don't know. I kind of want to wait to hear what they say about it until then. But so I think Pierce now is fine at ADP. I love Pierce. He's just so good. And I think maybe we get, it's not a recency bias because it didn't happen recently, but a lot of times, you get one primetime game a year for a team like the Texans, and he just goes crazy, 100. He didn't even go crazy from a fantasy perspective because he didn't score or have any catches, right. But he ran for like 130 yards. It was just a workhorse and looked so good. So I really like him, and I'm really rooting for him to kind of take over this backfield.
The game against the Eagles, the Thursday night game against the Eagles, yes. You're thinking of with Pierce?
Yes. Yep.
Well, in terms of Singletary, to your examples, goal line or catching the ball, I don't want to bet on that. I mean, we're in Buffalo, and Singletary was the worst graded PFF running back catching the ball in the backfield in 2021 in the NFL. And I remember when he started, the Bills had Frank Gore, and he had 2 goal line touches the whole season inside the 5 because of Gore. That changed a little bit. But it was always Allen. Singletary is like the perfect example of a player who you sign 3.75 real money, but are they going to throw it to him or give it to him around the goal line? I'm thinking like, no, of course not. So that makes Pierce a good value. I'd much rather have Pierce than Mixon at this point, Adam, or Javonte Williams with his injury concerns.
Sorry. So I guess on the flip side, what, you're going to give an educated guess. What did they sign Singletary for? If it wasn't to catch passes and do goal, just a straight handcuff to Pierce, like that's what I just don't know. Like, why did they sign him? Good
question. I think most teams want at least 2 to split carries, including the Bills.
Yep.
Now, even after Singletary, post Singletary. I think Houston has been the most maybe incompetent organization in the league, so they could do anything, but hopefully they know well enough based on the data to not cut into Pierce in those important. I think Pierce can catch it too. So I think he's probably there to be a compliment to Pierce, and they pay him more because that's what he's due for where he is in his career. But that doesn't mean he comes in above Pierce. I don't think he does. So that's the right question. Like, what do they want him for? I think they want him for a complimentary role, a veteran role, 50 year in the league, and Pierce is their number one guy. Pierce is on the field first down week 1.
Yeah, and I've always said this too. Like I'm on the like Singletary can have first down. I want the catches and the goal line but I get what you're saying. Like I want Pierce to get the important stuff, the targets and then the goal line work. And if he gets that, that was always the thing. Like with Eckler last year, is his volume's going to come down. I don't care. I don't care if his rushing volume comes down. It's probably better. It keeps him healthy. I want the goal line work and I want the targets.
Let's talk about, both are two great tackle breakers too. Trying to get that helmet to not show the greens, whatever is happening there. Sorry, it is Green Bay, so sorry if it's a little bit green. Let's talk about Detroit. You mentioned DeAndre Swift in passing there. ADP is around the same region. This is where I can be vulnerable in fantasy because I'm not going to quit Swift at that price. Like, okay, they have David Montgomery, and he's been somebody I've never drafted, right? So that's a dilemma for me with Detroit, but Swift can catch it. He's not great when it comes to the analytics on Swift, but you definitely see an explosiveness with him and a versatility. So, he's kind of in the middle for me, where he's being drafted. I think Montgomery has value, but Montgomery for me is we're talking about Jamal Williams and whatever, was it 17 touchdowns or 15 touchdowns?
17, yeah.
17 touchdowns. And if they can end up having the ball at the 1 yard line all the time in every game again, then maybe he'll get there, but my odds are against it. So I'm open to Swift. I think as the season goes on, Montgomery will become more popular. I'll end up, if I want to get him, I'm going to get him now. And then really, like, that's where I'm at on Detroit. Swift is can I say he's the better player? Are we sure he's the better player? Maybe he isn't.
Yeah, that's I think the very last thing you said might be the key. Like maybe he is, like I want him to be, but yeah, I just always thought that Montgomery is just a meh player, but maybe it was the team he was on, the offense for a while. Like, is he better than Jamal Williams? Probably, even if he's definitely, I think. Even if he's as good, even if I'm wrong and he's as good as Jamal Williams, like he's not scoring 17 touchdowns because that's a fluke, but double-digit touchdowns is absolutely there. Elite offensive line, offense. I'm buying every piece of this offense. Kind of a macro look at the team. It's just like I want to buy the Lions offense. Like the old coordinator stayed. They got, they're getting better and better. They're adding pieces. They're getting pieces healthier. Receiving core is going to be good. Goff knows where to go with the ball. He's not some all-world quarterback, obviously, but he knows where to go. He'll go with the ball. So, I think the problem with Swift is just as a running back, there's been concerns, his vision, stuff like that. So, it'll be interesting. I'm rooting for him. I hope I'm saying I hope he gets, again, if he can get the goal line work, which I don't think he's going to do because they wanted to give it to Williams last year, but if he can get the receiving work too, I think that could be pretty good. This is going to be interesting because I think you could be, I wouldn't fade these guys, but I think it could be an interesting kind of best ball stack, maybe depending on how far like Montgomery goes. Montgomery right now at RB 25, Swift at RB 19. So it's kind of an expensive thing to do. But if you're getting, 6-7 catches a game, 8 catches a game between the two of them and two scores, that'd be crazy.
I'm honestly scared of that offense. They're
Really?
They're so hyped.
Take
a step.
Are they?
Yes, the Lions. I think so. Take a step back and just sort of let me talk this out, and you can tell me how this sounds. Jared Goff, Montgomery, Swift. They don't like. We like, but they don't. St. Brown. I'll grant you. Jamison Williams. Okay, like amazing college player. Who's the tight end? In terms of stacking, you can't do any. Brock Zylstra. Like, are you doing it? Is anybody drafting a Detroit tight end anywhere? These are 20-round drafts in March. Anybody will do anything. I drafted Sam Darnold yesterday. Is anybody drafting a tight end? Tight end premium from the Lions? I mean, who even is that? You hope a rookie lands there. I don't know. Like, Goff, I think, is kind of bad. You know, the end result is that the people we're playing against are going to like him more than me.
Yeah, and that's fine. I mean, Goff QB 15, and we're getting a lot of comments from the chat about how he's been hurt, how he's been banged up, which are very, very good points. But
Goff?
No, I'm sorry, Swift.
Okay, well, that's right. That's right.
But Goff QB 15. I mean, Swift and Montgomery. That's still moving, right? Since the pickup. But you know, Jameson Williams. I think he's a very good receiver. Wide receiver 31. You know, it's a wide receiver 3. I think that's fine. Your boy Amon-Ra St. Brown, wide receiver 10. I think they're fine, priced fine. And you know, what's kind of left out all the time and stuff like this is the elite offensive line. Like, yeah, Nick says it in the chat. Awesome offensive line too. Yeah, exactly. Like, when you have a great old line like that, it just helps everybody around them. Goff's gonna have all day to throw. The weapons are gonna have all day to get open. And I don't want them to have a good tight end. Like, no, like we don't want a good tight end. They traded away an all-world tight end. So it leaves more balls to go around to the guys that are there. So I'm buying this offense right now unless it gets out of hand.
According to the Player Profiler FFPC rankings, Amon-Ra St. Brown is going ahead of A.J. Brown. Nope. And Jameson Williams is going one spot ahead of Brandon Ayuk. Nope. I mean,
really?
Let's get back to this in future weeks. I am off. I didn't even know it until tonight, but I am off the Lions.
This is wow. Let's
Come
go.
on.
Where's that bell? Can I ring that bell again? Mike's
the buoy.
The buoy.
Is there
Where's
something we can do that can make a noise that will not trigger an ad? That can just be a noise that.
I don't even know who the quarterback is for the Niners, so I'm definitely Jameson Williams over Ayuk right now. But
okay,
I love this conversation.
Side bet.
I love it.
PPR points: Jameson Williams versus Ayuk.
March 28th, my birthday. I get odds, right? Because it's
you get
birthday.
Odds, really?
On my birthday.
The first night of Profiler because it's your birthday. You get odds. Is that what's good? That's how you're going to roll.
That's how we're rolling.
You want odds?
Birthday odds. Plus,
oh, that's so bad. I mean, we'll have to run a poll next week. That is so asking for odds. Never ask for odds. Let somebody offer you odds. Never ask for odds.
My bad.
Talking about Montgomery, Chicago. This is tough with Foreman and Herbert. I want to like Herbert. Foreman had an Achilles tear. He did fine for Carolina, but you know, not that there's really a big investment in either guy. I want to be on Herbert there and maybe just ignore Foreman. Am I crazy? Am I stupid for doing that?
No, you're not crazy at all. This is how I know I want Herbert and not Foreman, because I'm getting everyone's offering me in every dynasty league Foreman. Like, I'll give you Foreman for a 4th round pick in 2029. Like, those are the offers that I'm getting for, like, just take Foreman, please. Like, look, he's with the Bears. Look, he's had a couple of good games in his career. Like, no, Herbert. If it's Herbert versus Foreman, absolutely Herbert. And I think most people think that too. I don't even think this is going to be a close competition. And I don't think they're done there either. Like, I think the draft could bring some things. I mean, they obviously have a million picks with the trades that they've made. So I certainly don't think they're done there. But between these two running backs, interesting. But and Herbert's been good. I mean, Herbert has graded out better than Montgomery at times there in Chicago. So I like Herbert there. And if this is how the backfield stays, Herbert's going to fly up draft board. So now might be the time to take him.
One more. Dynasty trades. I mean, you got to decide. I'm going to give you a couple minutes here to decide if you want me to go on for a half an hour on dynasty trades or just not do it at all. We talk about the end of the first round like we discussed. So Brian Robinson, Antonio Gibson in Washington. They're both 24. You know that?
Okay. Makes sense.
They're the same age.
Yep. Yeah, Robinson was definitely older. Gibson came out super young, receiver turned running back. I mean, are you asking me who I would rather have in Dynasty?
Not in Dynasty, or, at least in redraft, but in both if you want. Like, who I can't get to Brian Robinson. I mean, but do I want to get to Gibson? They're both so cheap. Is that maybe an offense with some potential? Are they going to draft Bijan? Maybe is Washington a team that would do that? They're probably freezed out on quarterback, frozen out on quarterback,
frozen out, frozen. Yeah, I want Gibson because I want, like, even now, like, because I want him to get traded, like, get him, because there's word on the street that they like Bijan, although everybody likes Bijan, right? Every team's been linked. The Bills were linked to Bijan at 27 or wherever they are. So Gibson's just, I feel like he's good. His grades, now I will say his grades weren't great last year. Even his receiving grades were not great last year, but they were good the year before. So, it's just weird year to year when stuff like that happens. Maybe he was just upset last year that he wasn't getting the run that he wanted, but we've seen the talent there. I want him to leave. I think Brian Robinson really came out at the end of the year. I thought he looked pretty explosive for a guy his size. So, I mean, especially if they take a running back, I could see Gibson leaving. And I would absolutely love that. But it's a weird backfield that I don't want to plant my flag on it at all until after the NFL draft.
There's got to be somebody there that will mean something good in fantasy for where they're going. But who that is, I'll bet on talent with Gibson. I can't imagine he's somebody that Washington is another one of these teams that you never know. But can they make a trade for Antonio Gibson where they feel like they did well? I mean, I don't know how they do that in this climate. But Gibson over Robinson for me. I'm not excited about either guy, but that can be hidden, sneaky value when the community is sort of just confused or off a certain team. Dynasty trades. I'll be quick. The key word for me, it's a hyphenated word, but self-respect. I know the
Is
FFPC.
that like asking for odds? Is that like asking for odds or no?
A little bit, yeah. Actually, that's bad, but I won't tell you to your face. The FFPC cutdown deadline is Friday, and that's a great format they have for the Dynasty. You got to get to 16 and keep your kicker and your defense. I mean, there's some hard decisions.
Brutal.
It is. But, oh, my goodness, Adam, of course, if they're watching or listening, this isn't about you. Everybody else who's posting on the message board, Theo said this, too, on Twitter. Like, I just, come on, he's so right. Will you just keep your self-respect, have some dignity, and not post every day about the draft picks you would take? Everybody else knows the score, too. Like, we have to get to 16, too. You want to trade your worst wide receiver for a 7th round pick. I know. You know what? Guess what? I already thought you did before you said anything. So really, just we got it. You want to make move? We got it. Make it good, but please keep some self-respect, keep some dignity.
That was the Deontay Foreman thing for me. Sorry, I was all at the offers. Deontay Foreman for a 4th. I get, to me, it's don't waste my time. Like, I don't. Dignity, whatever. Like, come on. I'm a father of 3. I got nothing left over here. So, but don't waste my time because I am a father of 3. So,
are you still getting Cedric Wilson offers? I mean, let's just calm down out there. Let's have some respect for each other.
Yeah.
The end of the first round, even the entire back half of the first round in rookie drafts, just to close here, Adam, is challenging. And I'm with a month to go before the NFL draft. Just between us, I'm looking to move out, unless it's super flex, in which case you get 4 quarterbacks to mix in. I've got 2 or 3, probably 2 running backs right now that look like premium assets. 1 receiver with the possibility of 2 or 3 more. But, man, there's a lot. It's so interchangeable between Addison and Flowers and Hyatt and the Downs and these guys. I don't know. Like, check the rankings. There are some Hollywood Brown, to name one guy. There are some veterans that you would think maybe the owner in your league is down on. and you could upgrade a pick like that. I'm not sure that's the best example, but just to put a name out, running backs or receivers, running backs, even like what's Derrick Henry compared to the 110 in your rookie draft? Okay, well, Tennessee might want to trade him. Okay, for the 7th year in a row, he's old, but I don't know. Like, don't be afraid. The point I'm trying to make is don't be afraid to trade the 110 in this draft. Try to get in the next year with another move at the same time, and maybe you hit the jackpot on one of these running backs, Eckler, or somebody that their owner in your league is afraid of.
Will you listen to yourself right now? I mean, think about last year. Gotta have the 2023 first rounders. The class is stacked. And I'm not this dynasty like people that are looking. That's all they do. They're looking.
Go off. Go ahead.
That's right. The Austin Martins of the world. Like, I'm not looking. The Scott Connors of the world. I kind of live 1.5 to 2 years out. But now we're talking about, and I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm just saying, here we are. Draft season's upon us, and we're trading out of the first round of super flex drafts nonetheless, where quarterbacks are getting pushed up. Like, hey, I might want to get out of the 108 of a super flex dynasty rookie draft. I don't disagree. I think, again, landing spot has a lot to do with it. You got guys that might like a Downs, like you were saying, like guys that might not have the best kind of profiles coming out of college. That, hey, if they land with a Josh Allen or if they land with a Patrick Mahomes, but even then we saw that last year, like Mahomes, like his receivers didn't do anything, it was that spread around and stuff like that. So yeah, I agree with you. Get out of the back half of or move up. The problem is there's just like, to me, there's one guy that I would move up on, and that's Bijan. And like, there's not even a quarterback that I feel confident right now to move up and get, even for super flex. I mean, you're going to move, if you need one, you move up and you take one, close your eyes and take one. But Bijan at the 101, I think, is the only guy that you can really think is going to have a really good career.
I don't want to move out of that range in super flex drafts.
Okay.
Because I think there are I think the fourth quarterback is going to go at 7 at the latest. And they're all it's player profiler. We can't besmirch Will Levis.
That's right.
Cody Carpentier has his number 1 rookie quarterback. We cannot do that on the first night. Maybe in a few months we can get away with that. But I'm not risking that on the first night. 4 quarterbacks go in the top 7. Pete Carroll today convincingly talking about drafting a quarterback at 5. They might go in the top 4 or 5 for all we know.
Yes.
So super flex, no. And I think the importance and the value of those quarterbacks, you don't want to trade that now, a month away. But I do think with sort of rookie pick fever in a 1 quarterback league, if you're good at quarterback, I mean, a couple of those guys will be picked late first round in 1 quarterback leagues. I think they might be deserving. If you're fine there, you've got a Mahomes or somebody, then see if you can trade a late. Don't be afraid to do it, is my advice. Take a late first, move it to next year, or put somebody on your team for this year. Hey, all they have to do is start well, and you can flip them again.
Right. Yeah.
All right. Well, you're better at this. I mean, tell me if you think I'm wrong.
No, I completely agree. I mean, it's to me, yes, you're 100% right. To me, it's, again, some people have one dynasty league. Some people have 100 dynasty leagues. It's being able to take that macro view you're talking about and put it into the micro, because that's a whole show or half a show in and of itself, where we could maybe have some guys on too that are the big players, not just the analysts, but the players. Like, hey, how the heck, and this is the type of stuff that Mike and I will have on the show is, hey, Austin, hey, Scott, hey, Louis G, how do you manage 100 dynasty leagues? How do you take what Mike just said? Like, yes, I 100% agree. How do you put that into action with 100 teams or 50 teams or 20 teams? Because it's trade band. Like, I know when I sit down, if I'm like, all right, I'm going to take an hour and send out trade offers for dynasty, it might take 3 days to work one trade for one team for one league. So I completely agree with you. And if that's why I only do a handful of dynasty leagues.
A handful. I love a handful. Like, what I counted today. I'm at 13.
Ooh,
what
a guy.
That's plenty. Listen, the first thing I wanted to say tonight was thank you to Matt Kelly, Billy Muzio, Cody Carpentier, Theo Greminger, Aaron and Nate and everybody at Player Profiler. We became free agents, and we were so happy to be able to latch up with you guys, some of whom we know, some of you we know and have played with and chatted with. I just didn't want to do that first thing because I can't stand listening to a show where the first thing is all thank yous and highs and hellos. Like I have to turn it off. So we had to put that at the end. I mean, we said a little bit of it before. Adam's birthday also got in the way. Sorry for anybody.
It's always in the way.
But I really am grateful to you, Adam, too, and to everybody that has been watching and helping us get this far. So with that, Adam, final thoughts?
No, I completely agree. I can't wait to keep doing this. I'm going to take a portion of the massive signing bonus that Player Profiler gave us and buy some new internet. I apologize for. I look perfectly clear on my screen, and I keep getting from everyone how I look like I'm 100 miles under the sea, and I believe them. I can't wait to go back and watch it. So I'll be getting a new router and a new camera and maybe just a new computer. while we're
you can come over here if you want next week.
Right. Maybe I'll come over to your house.
The lobster roll, your backdrop from the old days, has a whole new meaning because you're literally underwater. It seems tonight.
That's what I hear. I look great on my screen, but whatever.
You don't want to peak week one.
Yeah, that's right. I got to leave them wanting more.
Right. At Adam_Krautwurst, you see his name on the screen. Figure it out. Google and Twitter searches will help you. At Shope Talk, SCHOPPTALK. You can also find me weekday afternoons, 3 to 7 Eastern on WGR Sports Radio 550 in Buffalo and on the Odyssey app. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next week.
Thanks, guys.
Hey, you like that video? Be sure to subscribe and activate those alerts so you get notified as soon as new videos drop. And be sure to check out PlayerProfiler.com. We have all the tools for you to dominate every type of fantasy league. We have a draft kit, Dynasty Deluxe, data analysis, DFS Dominator, and don't forget the player rankings to rule them all.